Hey everybody, welcome to my September reading wrap-up. I read 6 books this month. Want to hear about them? Stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome to Book Talks with Miss Thomas. I'm Miss Thomas, and if you like hearing about great books, you're in the right place. So I'm a teacher, and it's been a crazy busy month. Full transparency, every one of these books was an audiobook. So I'm going to tell you what I thought of these books, and I'm going to start with The Summer of Yes. That was by Courtney Walsjt. The Summer of Yes was one of my favorites. It was really good, and it was the story of Kelsey Worthington, who works in publishing, and she is coming out of a coffee shop on her way to work when she is just randomly hit by a car. Now, obviously, she survives, but it's a near-death experience or close enough to one for her that she starts to really evaluate her life. And she's in this hospital, and she's thinking about really, what has she accomplished with her life and how she has said no to so many things. And she really regrets that. She wants to start saying yes to opportunities and trying new things. And she's spent her whole life, avoiding those things out of fear. And so she's resolved to start saying yes to more things. Now, in her hospital, this grouchy, horrible woman ends up having to share a room with her. And that woman is none other than Georgina Tate, the famous mega boss babe who runs a really, really successful cosmetic company, and every woman wants to be Georgina Tate. Georgina is the picture of fame and success and everything that every woman seems to want. But the thing is, Georgina is so alone, and she's afraid of dying alone, and she would like very much to reconnect with her son, who doesn't seem to want anything to do with her. So Kelsey decides she's gonna, say yes to everything. She's gonna bring Georgina along with her on this journey of the Summer of Yes, where the two of them are just gonna say yes to every possible new experience, and among them, maybe, just maybe, saying yes to reconnecting with Georgina's son. This was a really fun book. It reminded me a lot of The Devil Wears Prada, except a clean Christian book. Actually, I can't say for sure if it was a Christian book, but it was definitely clean. And it was a book that I really enjoyed and highly recommend. Next up is Nothing Ventured by Jeffrey Archer, and it is the first in the William Warwick series. This was the story of a guy named Will, and he works for Scotland Yard, and his father is a very successful lawyer, and his sister's a lawyer, and so Will is supposed to be a lawyer too, but the problem is Will doesn't want to be a lawyer. He wants to be a detective. And interestingly enough, he's a detective with a background in arts, in paintings and visual arts. And so he winds up investigating a missing painting. I believe it's a missing Rembrandt painting. It's a missing Rembrandt painting. And as he tries to find the stolen Rembrandt painting, he also finds love with a woman who works in the art museum, and her name is Beth. So Will and Beth, they have this nice little relationship together, and the two of them work together to try and track down the missing Rembrandt. This was a fun book. There was a lot of funny moments and sweet moments and even a few sad moments. So I really enjoyed that one too. Nothing Ventured. It was a good one. And I'm glad that it's in a series so I can follow along with the adventures of Will and Beth. They were a lot of fun. I like Donna Andrews' books. Those are fun too. They're just silly, fun little mysteries. They're very cozy mysteries about Meg Lanslow, who has a home that she opens up to people. I think she rents to people in her house. I'm picturing a bed and breakfast kind of thing. But this one, Between a Flock and a Hard Place, Meg is back with her crazy family and the crazy shenanigans of her neighborhood. And someone has let loose a flock of turkeys. I guess that's what they're called, a flock. I don't know. But there's these turkeys all over the place, and they're just wreaking havoc. And there's this mean neighbor who's getting her home remodeled, and nobody in the neighborhood seems to like her. And the people who are remodeling her home don't seem very respectful or very responsible. Or even very professional. I'm not sure they know what they're doing. But as her home is getting remodeled, she ends up dead. So Meg has the mystery of what is she supposed to do with all these turkeys and how is she going to round them up and protect the town from them. And then she has the mystery of the awful neighbor and, who may have killed her. So as Meg and the mayor try to keep the peace and restore the order in their small, quaint town, it's just a lot of challenges come up. And it was a fun book. I love the series. And this is just a really cute one. It's got a lot of humor and quirky characters. So if you're looking for a nice, light, cozy mystery between a flock and a hard place, it's adorable. What Have You Done by Shari Lapena? That is the story of a teenage girl named Diana who ends up murdered in the middle of a cornfield. I think it's a cornfield. Hold on. Okay, so it just says she ends up murdered in a field. We don't really know what kind of field. I'm picturing a cornfield. But she's a teenager in high school and she ends up dead. And there are various characters in the book who may have killed her or may know more than they're letting on. The prime suspects include Cameron, Diana's very possessive boyfriend. We wonder if that relationship was quite as perfect as it seems. Cameron definitely seems to have a temper. So we're wondering, did he really love Diana as much as he says, or could he be the one who killed her? Joe Pryor, the creepy construction worker who comes to Diana's place of work. She works in a hardware store and he seems to be stalking her and he's just real creepy. And they find him on film and they, track him down. Could he be someone who may have harmed Diana? Or Mr. Turner, the utterly just cringy PE teacher who, has a thing for Diana and stares at her. And she, come to find out, made a complaint about him. And conveniently, he's engaged to the girl whose parents own the field where her body was discovered. So all of them are very likely suspects. I also like that there's a teacher in the book, of course, a high school teacher, and her daughter goes to the school. And so she's frustrated with, trying to teach and trying to raise her own daughter. And I definitely appreciated her perspective. I liked when she said, how technology makes it so hard to teach. Yes, put your phone away, students. So I liked that. I appreciated that. And there was a principal in the book that, he seemed like a nice guy, but we can't be too sure. So What Have You Done by Shari Lapena did not disappoint. The Murders in Great Diddling is the story of many people in the small town of Diddling, but my favorite was Barrett Gardner. She's a famous author, and she moves into the small, is it a town or I can't remember what it's called. It's actually a village. So Barrett moves into this small village of Great Diddling, and there's a lot of quirky characters, and she thinks as an author she's going to find her inspiration there when she's invited to a tea party. And at the tea party, there is an explosion that turns out it was a makeshift bomb and it was created to murder one of the characters in the book. So all the different characters in the book then become suspects and they all have different quirks. Now, it was an okay book. I think if I were in a different mood, I might have liked it and enjoyed it. And I definitely enjoyed the accents of the characters in the book and, listening to it. It was fun enough listening to the audiobook. After 8 hours, I got bored. I need me a good mystery, especially since it's fall and it's getting to be like scary time, October. So I just lost interest in it, but it was nice. It was a cozy mystery and it had some quirky characters and it had some fun accents. So wasn't for me, but it might be for you. So it was cute. The Murders of Great Diddling. I enjoyed the quirkiness. I will say it seemed like there was too much going on. Like all the different characters had different things going on and, too many subplots for me because it was an audiobook and I could sort of listen to it while I was cleaning the house or folding the laundry or cooking dinner, but it was just too much for me to focus. If you want me to focus, you have to kill somebody. So those mysteries where there's like, a murder, that's going to keep my interest. It might keep yours though. House of Glass was the story of Stella. So Stella is a lawyer with a troubled childhood, and her job is to decide which parent should get custody of a child in a divorce. And she is assigned to this very complicated divorce case where They're very, very wealthy, powerful people. There's Beth, who is this very beautiful, very wealthy, but very rigid woman who seems to be wrapped awfully tight. And she seems to love her daughter, but there's just something very cold about Beth. And she wants custody of her daughter, Rose, but so does Ian, the husband, who also wants custody of his daughter, Rose. But the thing about Ian is Ian was having an affair with Rose's nanny, and Rose's nanny was pregnant and died under mysterious circumstances. So did Ian kill her, or did Beth kill her? Maybe even Rose killed her, because Rose, the little girl, I think she's 9, she has a preoccupation with weapons. She goes around collecting weapons, specifically shards of glass. In one passage very early in the book, she sees a shard of glass on the ground and she picks it up and puts it in her pocket and carries it with her. So as Stella goes through the book trying to decide what's best for Rose, she also starts to struggle with some memories from her own childhood, because as we get to know Rose, we find out that Stella had some pretty traumatic experiences in her own life. Oh, because Rose is a selective mute. She doesn't speak. She will not speak at all to anyone. She can make eye contact and possibly nod, but she's not communicating about what happened to the nanny. So nobody seems to know. And, maybe the nanny died accidentally too. Maybe she wasn't even murdered. But as Stella tries to help Rose, we find out that Stella went through a period in her childhood where she was mute and unable to speak after a traumatic experience when she was very young. So it's just, it had a lot of things that, so it had a lot of suspects and a lot of different things going on in the plot. And I thought that one was really good too. It wasn't like the best, most scintillating mystery I've read in a long time, but it was good, and I was surprised by the ending. So I might give that one like 3 stars, but if you're looking for a nice mystery, even though it deals with a child being a selective mute, nothing terribly triggering happens in the book. Just that, this nanny died, and Rose saw it. Whatever happened, Rose was either a part of it or a witness to it. But there's nothing really graphic or upsetting that happens to the little girl in the book, or Stella. I mean, Stella reflects on some memories, but nothing triggering is described. So for that reason too, I think you might enjoy it. Those are the books I read in September. Definitely, I would say Summer of Yes was my favorite. Even though it wasn't a mystery, it was a good one and it was funny. And they were all the books I read, I can honestly say they were filled with some interesting characters, and I like character development. So looking forward to October. I will tell you, I've already started for the next video. I've already started Boo-Hoo. I read Boo last year, or maybe even the year before, but now I'm doing Boo-Hoo, and I'll tell you about that one in a later video. Bye for now.